Maybe you've wondered why casting directors don't seem to notice you. Maybe you've had a few auditions or maybe even a lot, but you rarely get booked for the job. Maybe you find it impossible to even get into the room with a casting director. Or maybe you've booked a job once and then never heard from the casting office again. Now, the obvious question, of course, is why? Why do casting directors seem to ignore you? Before we talk about solutions, we need to figure out the answer to this question. And since this is a sensible topic that requires some very honest self-contemplation from you, I want to reply with a bunch of questions first. And we can even make it an exercise, if you will. So take out a pen and a piece of paper and write down your thoughts on the following questions, from your perspective, of course. What casting platforms am I using to showcase my portfolio? When was the last time when I updated my profile on those casting platforms? What kind of roles do I get casting calls for, or do I self-submit for? When was the last time I took an acting class or practiced my craft? What does my social media profile look like, and what story does it tell about me as an actor and person? What was my last interaction with a casting director or casting assistant like? What feedback do I get from casting or my agent? That's if you have one, of course. What kind of clips are on your demo reel, and if you don't have one, why is that? Please take your time, stop the video if necessary, and be brutally honest in answering these questions for yourself. And by the way, if you're going to stop the video anyway, then hit that subscribe button to never miss a new video with educational tips like these. Done? Thanks so much. Okay, back to our exercise. Guys, I know this isn't the prettiest quiz, but it'll make it so much easier for you to get to the bottom of this and help you overcome whatever obstacles might hold you back from having a thriving acting career. So while you're looking at your answers now, I think the following 5 reasons will seem more reasonable than if you hadn't given this some thought. Reason number 1, and this is in no particular order. Reason number 1 why a casting director might ignore you. They simply cannot find you on casting platforms or social media. You have to understand that casting platforms are the number 1 tool for casting directors and their teams to work with. Aside from their email account and phone, this is it. This is the way they conduct searches for specific roles during the casting process. And so, if you're not listed with a complete profile on these platforms, they won't be able to find you. And yes, there are many different platforms out there, and the platforms certainly vary from country to country and even sometimes within a country, but that doesn't really matter because it is your job to figure out which are the relevant platforms or databases for your location, sign up for it, and put in all the information and content that will help casting to consider you for their projects. Now, regarding social media, it's a little bit different, but then again, it isn't. First of all, social media platforms are searchable. So everything you put in your profile, and surely everything you post, is searchable. If you are a Harley fan and take out your bike regularly and you put that in your bio, which I think would be a great idea, if a casting director is looking for an actor with a special skill to ride a motorcycle, your profile might pop up in the search. And bam, you get called in for the audition. Wouldn't that be great? I could give you a ton of other examples, but I think you get what I mean. So let's get to reason number 2. They don't know what roles to consider you for. So this is about your casting type, of course. The first person who needs to know your casting types, role types, is you, because if you have no clue, that means you also can't know what roles to submit to or how to build your marketing material in the first place. So it all starts with you learning about casting types and how strangers view you. Now, this video is not about casting types. That's why I don't want to go into details here on how to figure out yours. But if you want to make a deep dive, check out my free masterclass, How to Nail Your Casting Type. I'll link to it in the video description. What I want to talk about is how important casting types are to casting directors. They are basically search parameters used when looking for the perfect actor for a particular role. They also use them in communication with producers, writers, directors, agents, and managers for descriptive purposes. Simply put, for them to consider you for a role, meaning inviting you to audition, your portfolio must reflect 1 or 2 or 3, but not 10, specific types. Again, if you want to learn more about this, check out my free masterclass. So, reason number 3 why casting might ignore you is your acting skills might be rusty or not well developed yet. And guys, this is not the end of the world. None of the great actors was born as such. They all have had training of some kind. And even once they have made it, they keep on training and working with coaches to further master their skills. So why should it be different for you? I personally see myself more like a professional athlete than someone with a regular job. Pro athletes train every day, multiple hours a day, and they see constant improvement of their skills. They know this can only be achieved by practicing. So I want to encourage you to take a similar approach to your acting skills. You taking acting classes, singing lessons, or stunt training shows casting directors that acting is not just a hobby, but a profession for you. And it also signals that you're willing to put in the time and effort to develop your skills. So if you had to take a break from acting and are coming back to it, get back into classes. And if you're new to acting, start with a bunch of different classes to explore various techniques and styles before submitting for roles. Reason number 4, you have proven unreliable or hard to work with. Sometimes it can be helpful to take a frank look at yourself and your actions, behavior, and communication skills. If a casting director invites you to audition and you're late to the appointment or you missed the deadline to send it in, and if that happens more than once, it's safe to be sure that you won't get invited again. And even if there are always good reasons for your lateness, it doesn't matter. Casting will assume that if you cannot make it to the audition on time, chances are you won't make it to set on time, which of course would reflect very badly on them. Speaking of bad behavior or communication with other cast and crew on set will also not be tolerated without consequences. Obvious examples are showing up unprepared and therefore holding up production unnecessarily, walking off set or taking phone calls without informing anyone, openly criticizing your fellow actors' acting abilities, or posting on social media about the production before it has aired. And keep in mind that people talk to each other. Agents, managers, casting directors, producers, directors, and even makeup, wardrobe, and catering folks talk among themselves also about actors. Now, it's up to you, mostly, if what they tell each other about you will be seen positively or negatively. And before we get to reason number 5, give this video a thumbs up if these tips are valuable to you. Much appreciated. So, reason number 5, casting directors can't see what you can do because you have no demo reel or it doesn't accurately represent what you can do. If you have a reel, but you missed the right casting types, it can lead to fewer opportunities. I mentioned that earlier. And if you have no show reel clips at all because you're just starting out or are coming back from a long break, it might also stop casting directors from considering you for roles. Now, what can you do about that? Thankfully, there's more than one option, and I would explore all of them if I were you. In fact, I did. When I started out many years ago after graduating from drama school, I too had no demo reel. So what did I do first? I got together with a couple of actor friends and we wrote, shot, and edited scenes for our reels as a team. It was fast, affordable, and tons of fun. None of us had filmmaking experience, but that didn't stop us from doing it. The results were good enough to use them to present our acting abilities to casting directors and student filmmakers. And this brings me to the next option, student and short film projects. This is another great way for you to collect footage for your demo reel. Self-submit for projects done by filmmaking students or indie filmmakers. They might consider you for a role even if you don't have a reel yet. And the beauty of it is, these are wonderful networking opportunities as well, because the student filmmaker from today might be the award-winning one of tomorrow. and you never know. And if you can build a circle of filmmaker friends that way, it becomes very easy to realize future short films or indie projects on your own. And then there is the option of paying for your demo reel. There are demo reel production companies in every major acting market. And the way it usually works is you pay a package or a fixed price, and the production company writes a scene for you, organizes a scene partner, and runs the whole process of production. Very convenient, of course, and that's why I've used such a service before. Once. I would not do it again though. And here's why. In order for these services to be profitable for the company, it has to be efficient. For you, this means you might get standard scenes, so scenes from a pool of scenes also used by other actor clients, or you might get just 1 or 2 revisions of the scene that is written for you. Rehearsals are often up to you to organize if you want them. Strongly recommended, by the way. And the scene is usually shot as simplistic as possible. An establishing shot, a medium close-up, and a close-up of you and your scene partner, and that's it. Time is limited too. And if you want a professional makeup person, that is either up to you to organize or bookable as an add-on to the regular package or fixed price. The edit is done again simply and efficiently without any art. And sure, one could argue it is not necessary to have beautiful shots, great lighting, and all of that on a beginner's actor's reel. But then again, why wouldn't you want that? That is why I would rather produce it myself than pay any amount of money for it. Not only can you take as much time for it as you like to write a great scene that really fits your type, rehearse and shoot it with pretty lighting and nice shots and give it an interesting look in the edit, but you will also enable yourself to create other content like short films, social media reels, and such in the future. Your acting career will definitely profit from that tremendously. So these are the 5 reasons I came up with why casting directors might ignore you. Let me know in the comments if you can think of more.